featherweight bout here. Jack Jenkins coming in at -205 against Chepe Mariscal, sitting at +170. Over under 2.5 rounds, -185 for the over, +155 for the under. Both men 30 years of age. Both men 5'7", and a very similar reach there. 1 inch advantage for Chepe. Coming in here against Jack Jenkins, who has looked pretty dang good in the UFC. He had a tough matchup his last time out against Jamal Emmers. I believe they were on the same card. That was the Jacksonville card.
Yeah.
And Jamal Emmers, I'm pretty sure Jamal Emmers beat him. He took the takedown route, and he grappled him up pretty dang good. Looks like that's probably going to be a good way to beat Jack Jenkins if you can have that good grappling, because on the feet, he's going to whip leg kicks. And Jamal Emmers is a long dude. He used his length pretty well in that fight. I thought he beat him. I had a bet on Jack Jenkins, and I was shocked that I cashed it in that one. But he's 2-0 in the UFC. He's looked pretty good. I mean, he's a fun fighter to watch. Same with Chepe Mariscal. Took his UFC debut on short notice against Trevor Peek, and got a win against the fan favorite Trevor Peek, which was an absolute dogfight. And it was a fun fight to watch. Same card, like I said. So this should be a good fight. I think this might be one of the more fights that I'm like excited for on the card. Crazy that's on the prelims, and I'm saying that about a prelim fight, but it should be a fun one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun as well. I mean, for Chepe to come in there and beat Trevor Peek, that's a perfect way to start your UFC career, because everybody loved Trevor Peek and was excited and thinking that he was going to get a big knockout. And I kind of even bought into it too, because if you look at Chepe's record, he does have 3 knockout losses on it. But even though this is only his second UFC fight, he is, I believe, UFC level. He's been fighting guys like Steve Garcia, Joe Anderson, Brito, Bryce Mitchell, like while he was on the regional scene. So it's not like he's been fighting guys who are cans, and he's not ready for this level at all. Now, Jack Jenkins, another guy who can find knockouts and is going to have a lot of power. The only difference between him and a guy like Trevor Peek, obviously, is their technical striking, but Jack Jenkins is going to hit you with a lot of leg kicks. And, that's one thing Chepe didn't really have to worry about against Trevor Peek. I think Chepe showed his chin was pretty durable against Trevor, got hit with some good shots. But when you mix in leg kicks nowadays in today's MMA, like, it changes the whole game. Like, you take 2 or 3 off the bat that are solid, like, it can change the whole fight. And we've seen Jack Jenkins do that time and time and time again. So yeah, for Jack, I think if he gets on those early, he's going to have a good showing. And I don't know if he's going to knock Chepe out or get the TKO, but I think if he can just get the leg kicks going, man, he's gonna win the fight for sure. Especially being at home, he's gonna be pumped up. I think he's got a little marketability to him too. I think the UFC wants him to keep winning. Chepe is no easy out, but I'm gonna lean Jack Jenkins here.
Yeah, I love watching both these guys fight, but for Jenkins, like, the leg kicks is always gonna be a problem. Like, everyone, if you know anything about Jack Jenkins, there's always that thing that he knocked out like 5 guys or broke 5 guys' legs or whatever that he's beaten. So that's a dangerous thing. If you're Chepe, he's got like a lot of good experience. Like, he's fought like 5 or 6 UFC guys before he even got into the UFC. And then to fight a guy like Trevor Peek, who's like super raw as far as the sport goes. I was on Chepe. I thought he would be the better mixed martial artist. He went out there with a pretty solid game plan and just weathered the storm that Trevor Peek threw at him. Trevor Peek's never going to waver, but you could tell he was gassing out after, 1.5 to 2 rounds. Into the 3rd round, Chepe was kind of cruising at that point. I think Chepe is always going to come in with a pretty solid game plan, even though he is like an all-action fighter. He still fights fairly calculated. Trains at Elevation Fight Team. It's a great camp. Jack Jenkins coming in at a 2-1 favorite kind of scares me, because Chepe is so experienced against high-level fighters and trains at a good camp. He's well-rounded. That does scare me, but I'm going to go with Jack Jenkins for the pick. I think he just probably hits him harder, hits him more often, and can fight off the takedowns if Chepe does go to him. And if you're taking down Trevor Peek, it's not like saying the most, because Trevor Peek doesn't have like some great takedown defense. He's not super skilled when it comes to that. So I think Jenkins could probably stuff him a little bit better. I'm going to go with him for the pick.